Hello, this is Maude Christian Meier. I hope you enjoy the book as much as I do, and that I hope many people have the opportunity to read this book. I think it's a very important book. The introduction of the book was a great summary of the whole book. It was riveting. I couldn't put the book down after I read the introduction. The book is a memoir, but it is also, in a way, a history book covering parts of the history of a few West African countries and some West Indian countries. There is a biography in there as well. I immediately realized that I didn't know Ronnie at all. Now, I've been away from Ghana since 1981, so no surprise. I found many funny parts, like when Ronnie declares that he is handsome because he's tall. And then the more serious parts, but somewhat funny, like the incident with Bulletproof Edwin. Such were the conditions, the Kahnplay Incident. This memoir properly describes Africa's truncated development, the corruption, the coups, bribery, geopolitics. I think it should be required reading for the diaspora, but also our secondary school students. They really have no idea what was going on or what happened in the 1960s, 70s, and beyond. I came to the realization that really all small countries that look poor are not really poor, but rather full of potential. Potential never realized. Ronnie actually mentions many of the countries from which I hail: Ghana, Nigeria, Dominica, and Canada. My favorite and least favorite chapters were determined by emotion. The emotion I felt while reading this book, from laughing out loud to welling up with tears, and it ended up with me telling myself, everything turned out fine. Ronnie's fine. This was a bad trip, but as it happened, it's not a movie, it's reality. I'd like to read a few bits from the book. The first part I'd like to read is where he says, in the chapter talking about Liberia, understanding Liberia, his take. He says, the main motivations and justifications for the British colonialization process were to compensate for the lost income from the very lucrative Atlantic slave trade. Well, maybe so, but this goes on, unfortunately, and may be a point of our discussions coming up. Another part I'd like to read straight from the book is from the chapter where Ronnie and Ian were arrested, and Ronnie was all of a sudden a Jamaican CIA spy. He says, Ian spoke under his breath to me, Ron, I know you see yourself as a tough guy, and you identify with the John Wayne type of cowboy character. But believe me, those John Wayne antics don't work with these Nakos folk. Ian was using commonly used Liberian slang for army regulars derived from NCOs, non-commissioned officers. He saw me look back at him with some skepticism. He goes on to say, and I'm skipping a bit of the paragraph, if you stay quiet and don't start hollering at the top of your voice, at the top of your lungs, they will keep on lashing you until the devil is released. This was foreboding. The Kahnplay Incident was very, very, very sad. I really like the last words, the last sentence that Ronnie uses in this book. And such have been the times, such have been the conditions.